Okay, people, welcome back to another play day, and look at this. There was no way I was fitting these figures in with a photo of that. Well, we'll get to this, though. Because it's play day, I've been customizing again, and picking up parts and pieces from people, and things happening. I can't quit looking at it. It's looking at me first. You see it, right? He's staring me down. Chicken walker. You want some? There's some easy swaps, a little bit of paint going on, some heavier kit bashes, some prototypes from Savage Crucible, and some PO pickups. So there's a little bit of everything. It's crazy. Let's start off with a little Savage Crucible. And look at this crazy bastard. Having it in hand, it reminds me of Davy Jones, but there is nothing wrong with that. There's also some Cthulhu bounty hunter stuff going on. I love the asymmetry. This sash comes up and over, and then the sleeve down to kind of a regular arm. Of course, there's some tentacles off the back and stuff, but there's a hand. And I point that out because on the other side, it's fleshy and it goes up into like a mass of tentacles. There's some coming off here and they work down, and it's kind of a grabby top situation. You get super close, there's even little suction cups on each of the tentacles. Below the waist, there's a sash and this nice little bag hanging off the side here, some drapage, some beautiful texture. And then like the top half, the right leg has pants on it, there's a boot. On the left, it comes down to about the knee, and then it turns into that organic mass again. There's more tentacle working its way off the back of the leg, and then a bare foot with some toenail action. And the articulation is interesting. Like here, it comes down to a separate elbow piece that has joints at the top and bottom. I know it's essentially a double joint, but it has some thickness to it, because even with all this craziness around it, you can still get some bendy out of it. And hell, there's even wrist. And then at the neck, I didn't expect it to do this. Look completely up. There's some softness to here, so you can get some down and around. That's nice. Shoulder with the sleeve comes out, and bicep swivel, leg out and around, and knee coming back. Let's put this hood on and see what happens. A swappy grip hand. Left and right clawed hands, so you can replace these tentacles. And then a more spread out tentacle hand. A very detailed staff, especially up here. I love that it goes in the tentacle hand, and it looks like it's going up and wrapping around and stuff. That's just neato. And I show you all that first to get to this, the painted prototype. And man, I just love the colors used here. Yes, there's a horn missing. I think when I opened the package, it may have just fallen out somewhere. I am a terrible reviewer. I don't know why people send me things. But this is to give you an idea of the colors. Just the red base with these blue highlights works so well. I wouldn't have even considered that. I would have thought the colors would clash and not look good, but I don't know anything about color theory or mixing and matching. I just look at stuff and try to, oh, well, I need to take that color and put it on here. The color of the boot stands out at me, but in a good way, because again, it just blends in with the rest. The dry brush to bring out the details of the clothing. And then there's the gold that really stands out, but then you bring the staff in, and it all makes sense. It is just a hell of a presentation. Now, I'm coming in late with this. The Kickstarter is already done, but you can go to savagecrucible.com and put in pre-orders. If you watch my Marvel Legends X-Men Villains 5-pack review, you've already seen this, but I thought I'd throw it in here anyway, because it's Playday. I didn't really have a problem with Vertigo out of the package with this hair. It's just that this is undeniably Invisible Woman's hair. And I'd seen people swapping the head with Madam Hydra, but I really liked the face paint on Vertigo, so I peeled the hair off both heads and swap that. Or well, put Madam Hydra's hair on this head. I didn't reverse. I didn't go the other direction with it, obviously. And I thought about matching the green to the costume green like they did with the original hair, but the more I've looked at this, the more I like that it's darker. It helps it stand out from the overall piece. Then I dry brushed a little white on top to tie it together. It sticks out a little more than I was hoping for, but at the same time, it's Vertigo. It's okay to have some Sometimes customizing for me is questioning your decisions. Should I have left it original? Is this as bad as I thought? No, it's not bad. I liked it, but I like this a little bit better. But is it worth change? Here's the latest chapter in my ongoing Sabretooth saga. Here's the original out of the box. The fur on the neck and the wrists and the ankles, for some reason, the white is down in the recesses and the darker colors on top, which is not terrible. It gives it a dirty look, but to my eye, it's reversed. On this one, I've already shown it on a play day, but I did a brown base and then dry brushed the white on top, plus bringing it kind of onto the joint right there because it didn't have that on the original. Also on the original, the pupils kind of just stuck out there and the teeth were a bit undefined. So I whited out the eyes, added a little bit of shading, and then washed the teeth to see what was going on there. And again, that's fine and dandy. It made me happy, but it wasn't really first appearance. I didn't even mind the exposed fingers and toes much, but on this one, since I was going for a classic semi-handbook, semi-first appearance, I painted the gloves and the boots brown. You can still see the sculpt where it was supposed to go from glove to flesh and sock to flesh, but that darker color, it's not really noticeable on the shelf. The icing on top is the BigHeadStudios Sabretooth head. Ooh, and now that I have it in the booth, I probably need to do some shading to the skin tone here, but I really like how this finishes it off. I know it's not perfect official handbook look, but it's damn close, and it matches my brain picture of the character. Proportions are still kind of wonky. The arms are long when I look at it, but I like this a lot better. And I think I've finally found my favorite out-of-the-bottle skin tone and blonde hair color. For the skin tone, it's Delta Medium Flesh. And yeah, I know it's the cheap-ass paint from the hobby shop from Walmart, but I find that after a couple of coats, I seal it up. I don't have much of a problem with it. But I'm also not covering the whole figure. It's just a little part of it. So in those cases, I don't mind going cheap. And then for the hair, I surprised myself by grabbing the Vallejo Sunny Skin Tone. I know that doesn't look like that. I was just going to use it as a base. It was laying there, and I thought, well, I'll grab this, throw it on, and then I'll do dry brushing and everything. But this is how it came out. Oh, yeah, see? There we go. Much closer in color. So going back to the robo don't know anything about color theory and stuff, I usually just throw things at the wall, see what sticks. And if it doesn't, I paint over it. If it does, woohoo! Because I can essentially say the same about this Quinlan Vos kit from Scoundrel Stock. Skin tone wise, I just tried to pick something and throw it on there. For this, it was Citadel Cadian Flesh Tone. And if I mispronounced another Citadel paint, be sure to let me know, because I feel like I should have dry brushed the hair a bit to bring out the details, but that being just black stands out against the armor piece, which is also black, but there I dry brushed some gray on top to bring out the edges. So there's a slight separation between the two that I kind of dig. The eyes aren't great. I had to throw some paint at those because I'm out of the water slide decals. I need to replenish those or print my own. But my printer isn't the greatest, as you can tell here. This is actually some decoupage. You can see some wrinkle right there. It's rough, but again, at a distance, not bad at all. Now, Googling the symbol here, a lot of the time it's shown as a smaller, like starburst look, but I like the star. I don't know why, it gave me more of a comic book feel. And then the arms are a Marvel Legends comic book Shang-Chi with some articulated icons wrist wraps. A little large for the Star Wars Anakin body, especially the hands, but I don't know, they kind of fit. Speaking of the body, now that I'm finished, I kind of look at it and think, well, those are Anakin's clothes, so I need to change those up a bit. I wasn't working off any single image of Quinlan Vos, I just made an amalgam and used the parts that I had on hand. But this will work on the shelf for now, because the cool thing about that kit, there's also an alternate head that looks almost the same, but the hair here is sculpted to go over the shoulder armor. This hair on the second head is sculpted to just lay over shoulders, a regular body. So eventually, I'll have a more traditional garbed Quinlan Vos on the shelf. Haven't they been hinting at him in live action or dropping little Easter eggs here and there? So Hasbro can come along and make their own as soon as I finish this one. But that's okay, because I have this one. I have them on the shelf now. It was fun. Okay, this is just a simple swap building up to a custom that I'm going to show in a minute, because this hair from Disco Dazzler is left over from something else I worked on. Ooh, cryptic. You don't have to wait too long. It's a couple minutes. I swapped this onto here hoping it would give her more of a 70s, 80s vibe, because this is the hair that was on there. And it's okay. It's just kind of plain. But now that I've seen her with this hair for so long, this looks weird. but cool at the same time. I'm undecided. I don't know yet. Maybe I don't have it fit to the head right. Well, it goes up. It just kind of lays in the front. Should I bring that forward and give her... No, because it's sculpted like that. And I haven't painted where the earrings were. I just clipped those out, put it on here, see if it'll work. I'll have to sit on this one for a little bit, put it somewhere, and then come back to it in a couple months and go, oh, wow, I do like that more than I did originally. This, though, I feel is a definite upgrade, but it was kind of a journey. It started off with me wanting to straighten out the bandana on the 3-pack Elektra head, the alternate one. I heated it up, pulled it off, trimmed down the top of the head a little, and it would fit better. Then I realized I'm never going to use it on my white Elektra because look at this beautiful thing. So I thought maybe I could swap out the faces, give the red bandana and the hair to the 3-pack face, but it didn't fit quite right. So my last resort was to paint, and surprisingly, I found a pretty nice match to the original red of the body. And that was Citadel Mephiston Red. This is the one everyone nailed me when I said it in a short. I don't remember what I said originally. Mestiphon? I think it was Mestiphon. It's Mephiston. And I may still be saying it wrong, but I'm from Arkansas. What do you expect? The skin tone is off from the body, but again, like I always say, you put it on the shelf, get it away out of the bright lights, and it's not as bad as it seems right here. But it's also the old hinge and swivel at the elbows. I still want the 3-pack double-elbowed white body in red someday, but for now, this'll work. Both of those tweaks lead me to the Goblin Queen. Here's Madeline Pryor. The Elektra I tore up, I took her sash and sliced it down to here. You can still see that line running across right there, but I dipped it down and then thinned it out and then sliced it into there, and there you go. The cape is that newer school Morbius painted black, and then the ab and crotch piece is from Disco Dazzler. That's where I got the hair for Sue because I needed those abs. Pop Dazzler's legs off at the hip, pop on Shriek legs and Shriek arms, and then the heels from the black costume Emma Frost, I think. The head from the retro-carded Dark Phoenix, but the centerpiece, the Coupe de Gracie, is the upper torso piece from Metaverse Customs. The costume line is sculpted up to the gem that I painted in silver and then coated in clear red. Makes it pop a little bit. Same skin tone that I used for Sabretooth, but then it is a little rough here because I taped it off and it seeped a little bit. I tried to clean it up, and yeah, it should probably be tattered like the rest, but I don't know. It still works. I'm okay with this. I'm just okay with it. No, really. I'm really surprised at how well all these parts went together. Or at least I think so. I'm pretty damn happy. I may eventually trade out the cape and the loincloth with actual soft goods so I can get some dynamic to it moving around. As is. I really like it. I've been wanting this character on the shelf for a long time, and I saw the torso on eBay. I thought, go for it. And now I need a Naaster and a Saim to round out the Inferno crew. Here's a little P.O. Box care package pickup from J Customs. J Custom Figures on Instagram. First, this is the Doctor Who werewolf that I forgot existed. It's a little basic. It has some of this and some of this and some of this, and a single knee and the dog leg. No tilt. Same thing with the wrist. It's just hinged up and down. Elbow is a single, no bicep. But then the neck has a hell of a range on it, so you can have him crouched down or standing all the way up. In his letter, he said I may be able to find use for it on some other shelf, and he ain't lying. How's it stand? Get it into position, get it balanced. Hell, that's not bad. Okay, not the greatest at crouching, but man, it's not terrible. But you know what caught my eye? The Star Wars logo. It even still has the don't put them in your mouth warnings. He says he worked the shoulders to be more accurate and then sculpted over the peg holes. And then there's some wear and tear added going to here, and then this slash right across the box. Cape's been tattered and torn. Oh, a lightsaber. But the focal point is here. Your eye is drawn to the eye. Stupid camera focus, get in there. That is amazing looking. Has that same orangey, just got hit by a lightsaber heat to it, and then just evil peering out. Oh, the lower robes has some tattering. Ooh, and that looks good. I love this cape. You didn't kill the Hasbro version. I did. There's just something about a battle-damaged Vader. Hell, there's something about a clean Vader, too. Darth Vader's awesome. And then, like you saw at the first, there's this. This is so big I had to pull it out of the review space. There was no way in hell it was going to get looked at in there. come out to my work desk, my streaming desk, and even then, I had to get a wobble table to get it far enough away from the camera to get it all in shot. And really, I don't even know where to start, other than just look at it. Man. Well, I guess we could start with size. As I have it standing right here, it is 26 inches up to the highest point. The legs are about 10 inches across, and then from tip of gun to the very back of the dog leg, it's about 17 inches. But knowing those numbers does not do this thing justice in hand. In fact, I could kind of see that in the pictures when Nate and Renderboy first hit me up about grabbing one. I was still intimidated. But once I got the box and pulled it out, I was like, what is going on here? The details are just beautiful. Everything that they could have thrown at this, detail-wise, sculpt-wise, it's there. Little mechanical looking bits, kibble, just it walks straight out of a Star Wars movie. What else can I say? Not to mention the paint job Nathan put on top of it. It has some battle damage to it, but it's not overly done. It's like it's been sitting in the Force for a while with a couple of blast marks here and there. Oh, but it doesn't stop there. You open up the top hatch, get down inside, and there's so much detail going on. I couldn't see it without my camera. I stuck it down in there and then watched the footage back and thought, damn, they went all out with this thing. I know I mentioned the word intimidating a minute ago, and you would think that would wear off after a little bit, but every time I walk into the room where I have this standing, I look over and think, God dang. Intimidating and impressive. I mean, even the front little flap things that act as window covers, those flip up too. And it also has the round hatch up top that you can have Chewie pop up out of. There is articulation to it, but it being a 3D print, you move it and it starts to wear a little bit. But Nathan and Renderboy took that into consideration. They have bolts at all the joints and you can pull off the covers and expose those. There's blue tack in there to hold the cover on. Expose those and tighten them up if you need to. There's out movement, so you can get the leg angled out if you want to. And there's here, and there's ankle, even some rocker action. There's some head tilt, and then forward and back. You can even get it into walking poses when they're patrolling indoor or my backyard, whichever. I haven't had a problem with it tilting at all, but because of the shape of this, Nathan is working on a stand with some clear rods, so it takes out all the worry. A little insurance never hurt nothing. Another thing about having one in scale, in person, you don't realize just how big the AT-ST is. It was always on that short list of, well, Hasbro can give us one of those easy. It's a smaller vehicle, but now that I have it in hand, it's like, damn, that would be a big old box and a lot of manufacturing. But another thing about having this in front of me, man, it brings back vintage vibes. I want to reach back here and try to find that button on the back, make it chicken walk. It doesn't have that, but this is also the first AT-ST I've had since then. Or did I have one whenever I was collecting the 3 3/4 inch late 90s? Either way, that doesn't matter. This is Black Series scale. That's what matters. So if you're wanting one, either pre-made or the files to print your own, the links to the guy's Instagram are in the description. And then finally, some works in progress. Just ideas I've been piecing together slowly. They live somewhere back here. They're not quite at the forefront yet. Well, I say that, my kid Boba Fett is pretty close to completion. This head is from George and Toys on Instagram, and I finally got around to painting it up. I still need to clean up the eyes, add some detail, do some shading and such, but the hair is where I want it. The big thing is painting the body. Perfect world, prime it up, airbrush the blue, but I don't have my spray booth set up yet, so it's slow going. And should I go ahead and Dremel this off? I see a lot of people do that with this recipe. This is a Marvel Legends Toad with the hair removed, and I'm thinking with some sculpt to build this back up, this may be my Puppet Master head. I 3D printed a file I found online, and it's cool, but there's just something, I don't know. This screams Puppet Master to me. And that same file had puppets that I can paint up. Tiny little thing, tiny little invisible woman. I'll end up finishing both, and then I'll just pick whichever I like better. But this has been an ongoing project for months. Probably longer, because Nanny has been on my to-do list forever. But it wasn't until this last Easter that I found this egg. And I know she's not perfectly egg-shaped, but this one has this flat side and it's not quite as pointy on top. But it may be too big. This is more in scale with Marvel Legends. She's fairly short with the legs and stuff. Here, Well, I could make it short, couldn't I? But I'm also debating limb usage. I picked up some cheap clearance Buzz Lightyear figures, and it looks like the arms and legs may be of use. Especially if I use these fittings I found at Lowe's that kind of look like sockets. I can drill out the holes in whichever egg I want to use here, mount that, and then mount these into that, and it won't look so just on the nose. Then I've also got these MODOK limbs that seem to be the correct scale somewhere in there. And I think I could even use it here, really, if I sunk them in. And I was just going to build something because, oh no, the pegs are built into the body. Surprisingly, if you remove the screws and the back from MODOK, these parts actually come out. So I may be able to cut around these and mount those onto the egg, and then the leg mounts on, and it'll be sunk in. Pick up some extra washers for eyes and extra details. Maybe? I don't know. There's all kinds of possibilities here. See what I do to myself? Just, what am I gonna do? I overwhelm myself, and now it's gonna take many, many more months before I finish this. Just because I can't decide what the hell I want to do. But that is part of the fun. At least for me, the figuring out part. So at the end of the day, any day you can play is a good day. That's what I say. I rhyme now. Which is okay. That's me recuperating from being at a loss for words at certain points during this playday. It's just like, man, there's some crazy talented people out there. Just industrious, creative. I love our hobby. I really, really do. I'm quickly running out of room because of that hobby. But there's worse problems to have, right? I can always sleep outside. Tent, cot, and then just give the other bedrooms to toys. Magnificent, beautiful action figures and toys. Good grief. I'm not even looking at the camera anymore. It's just like... moment of silence for Robo's brain. It's melted down at this point. There's no thinking. There's just stimuli constantly. Again, all the links are in the description if you want to go check out people's work, give them some love, buy something, or just stare awkwardly. Even that is just okay, because that's what I've been doing for days.